राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने, नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and pranams. I will start with one round of chanting along with Srila Prabhupada. Let's start chanting. Request devotees to switch on your cameras if possible.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotrishatha His Divine Grace of Sharanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय गंगा मैया की जय यमुना मैया की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय कलियुग पतित पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय मथुरा धाम की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर नदीप धाम की जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय अनंत कोटि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Rupadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varjana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Ramusude Jetam Suratau Pangor Mama Mandamati Ergati Matsarvasu Padam Bojau Shri Radha Madana Mohano Divya Drindaranya Kalpatrumadha Shrimad Ratnagara Simhasanastho Shrimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshalivi Sevyamano Swarami Shriman Rasarasaram Virvam Shivata Tatastitaha Karishan Venur Sunair Gopir Shri Gopinata Shri Stunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Purave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langeti Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Tatsat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottam Yoga. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Purgamulam Madashakam, Ashwatam Prahuravayam, Chandam Siyasya Varnani, Yastam Vedasa Vedavid, Adashordvam, Prashidastasya Shakha, Puna Pravriddha Vishaya Pravala, Adascha Mulani Anushantatani, Karma Nubandini Manushya Loke. Rupamasye hatatopalavhyate nanto nacharyena cha sampratishtha ashwattamenam suvirudhamulam sangashastrena dridena chitva tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana tanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yata pravrti prasuta purani Nirvana-moha-jita-sanga-dosha-adhyatma-nitya-vinivritta-kamaah Dvandve-vimuktaah sukha-dukkha-samye-gacchantya-mudha padamavyayam tad Nadad-vasayate suryo-na-shashanko-na-pavakah Yad-gatva-na-nivritante tad-dhamma paramam-mama Maivam-sho-jiva-loke jiva-bhutah sanatanah Manah-shastani-indriyani prakriti-stani-karshati Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramtishvarah ghrihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat Shrotram chakshusparshanam cha rasanam grahanmeva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate Gramantam sitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhanupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha Yadanto yoginas chainam pashyanti atmannavasitam yadantopi kritatmano nainam pashyanti chetasah Yadadityagatam tejo jagadbhasyate khilam yachandramasi yachavno tat tejo vidhimanam Gama vishyacha bhutani dharayami hamojasa pushnami joshadai sarva somo bhutva rasatmakah Am Vaishvanaro bhutva praninam dehamashritaha pranapana samayukta pachamyannam chudurvidam सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मथ स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम् द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेति उदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य विवर्त्य व्यय ईश्वरः यस्माक्षरम् अतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमातोऽस्मि लोकवेदे च प्रतीतः पुरुषोत्तमः यो मामेवम् समूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदम् उक्तं मया नघ एतद्बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्याश्च भारत हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यां नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे पाहि पाहि महायोगीन् देवदेव जगत्पते नान्यं त्वादभयं पश्ये यत्र मृत्यु परस्परं कृष्ण कृष्ण महाबाहो भक्तानामभयङ्कर त्वमेको दह्यमानानामपवर्गोऽसि संश्रुते। श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Brahma's Prayers to Lord Krishna. This is from Canto 10, Chapter 14, Shri Brahmovacha. No midyate pravapushe tadidambaraya gunjavatam saparivachala sanmukhaya vanya shraje kavalavetra vishana venu lakshma shriye mridupade pashupangajaya अस्यापि देव वपुषो अनुग्रहस्य स्वेच्छामयस्य न तु भूतमयस्य कोऽपि नेशे मही त्वसितुं मनसान्तरेण साक्षात् तवैव किम् उत्तात्मसुखानुभूतेः ज्ञाने प्रयासम् उदपास्य नमन्त्य एव जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितं भवदीयवार्ताम् स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतां तनुवान् मनोभिर्ये प्रयासो जितजितोऽपि यसितैस्त्रिलोक्याम् श्रेय श्रुतिं भक्तिमुदस्य ते विभो क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवलबोधलब्धये तेषामसौ क्लेशल एव शिष्यते नान्यद्यतास्तु लतु सावगात्म्याम् वेह भूमान् बहवोऽपि योगिनस्त्वदर्पितेहा निजकर्मलब्धया विबुध्यभक्त्यैव गतो मणिपणीतया प्रपेतिरेञ्जोऽच्युतते गतिं पराम् तथापि भूमान् महिमा गुणस्य ते विबोधुमर्हत्यमलान्तरात्मभिः अविक्रियात्मानुभवादरूपतो ह्यनन्यबोध्यात्मतया न चान्यथा गुणात्मनस्तेऽपि गुणान् विमातुं हितावतीर्णस्य कैक्षरीस्य कालेन येर्वा विमितासु कल्पैर्पुंपांशवः केनिकाद्योवासः तत्तेऽनुकम्पां सुसमीक्ष्यमाणो भुञ्जान एवात्मकृतं विपाकम् हृद्वाग्पूर्वीर्विददा नमस्ते जीवेतयो मुक्तिपदे सदायवाग् अशेषमीनारिमनन्ताद्ये परात्मनि त्वये उमायि मायिनि मायां वितत्येक्षितुमात्मवैभवम् यहं कियानैच्छमिवार्चिरत्नौ अतः समस्वाच्युतमेरजोगो यजानतस्त्वत्प्रदवीशमानिनः अजाबलेपान्दतमोन्दचक्षुषा एषोऽनुकम्प्यो मैनातवानिति वाहं तमो महदहं कचराग्निवार्भो संवेष्टितान्दगतसप्तवितस्तिकायः वेदृग्विधा विगणिताण्डपरानुचर्या वाताद्वरोमविवरस्य चरे महित्वम् उक्षेपणं गर्भगतस्य पादयो किं कल्पते मातुलदोक्षजागसे किम् अस्ति नास्ति व्यपदेशभूषितं तवास्ति कुक्षे केदप्यन्वितः जगत्त्रयान्तो दधि सम्प्लबोधे नारायणस्योदिनाभिनालात् विनिर्गतो जस्त्विति भान्न वै मृषा किन्त्वीश्वरत्वन्न विनिर्गतोऽस्मि नारायणस्त्वं न हि सर्वदेहिनां आत्म्यस्य दीशात् लोकसाक्षी नारायणोऽङ्गं नरभूजलायनात् तच्चापि सत्यं न तवैव माया तच्चेचलस्तं तव सज्जगद्वपुः किं मे न दृष्टं मत्वं सदैव किं वा सुदुष्टं हृदि मे तदैव किं नो सपद्येव पुनर्यदर्शे अत्रैव माया दमनावतारे ह्यस्य प्रपञ्चस्य बहिः सुतस्य कृत्स्नस्य चान्तर्जठरे जनन्या माया त्वमेव प्रकटीकृतं ते यस्य कुक्षाविदं सर्वं सात्मं भाति यथा तथा तत्त्वय्यपीह तत्सर्वं किम् इदं मायया विना अद्यैव त्वद्वृतेस्य किम् अमनेन ते मया तु मद्दर्शितम् एकोऽसि प्रथमं ततो व्रज सुहृद्वत्सा समस्ता अपि तावन्तसि चतुर्भुजा सत् अखिलैः साकं मयोऽपि शीतस् तावन्त्येव जगति अभूस्तत् अमितं ब्रह्माद्वयं शिष्यते अजानतां त्वात् पदवीमनात्मनि आत्मात्मना भासि वितत्यमायां सृष्टा विवाहं जगतो विधान इव त्वमेषोऽत इव त्रिनेत्रः सुरेष्वशीरीशततैव नृष्वपि तुल्याक्षयादस्विते जनस्य जन्मा सतां दुर्मदने ग्रहाय प्रभो विधाता अनुग्रहाय च यो वेति भूमन् भगवन् परात्मन् योगेश्वरोति भक्तस्त्रिलोक्यां क्व वा कथं वा कति वा कदेति विस्तारयन् क्रीडसि योगमायाम् तस्मादिदं जगदेशेषमसत्स्वरूपं स्वप्नावमस्तदिशन् कुरु दुःखदुःखं त्वय्येव नित्यसुखबोधतनावनन्ते माया तरुद्यत् अपि यत् इवावभाति एकस्त्वमात्मपुरुषः पुराणः सत्यः स्वयं ज्योतिरनन्ताद्यः नित्योऽक्षरोजश्रसुको निरञ्जनः पूर्णाद्वयोर्मुक्तोपादितो मृतः एवं विदं त्वां सकलात्मनामपि स्वात्मानमात्मात्मतया विचक्षते पूर्वत्कलब्धोपनिषत्सु चक्षुषा एते तरन्तीव पवनामृतान्वुनीम् आत्मानमेवात्मतया विजानतां तेनैव जातं निखिलं प्रपञ्चितं ज्ञानेन भूयोऽपि च तत्प्रलीयते रज्ज्वामहेर्भोगभवाभवो यथा अज्ञानसंज्ञो भवबन्धमोक्षौ द्वौ नाम नान्यौ सत्तज्ञभावात् अजस्रचित्यात्मनि केवले परे विचार्यमाने तरणाविवाहने त्वमात्मानं परं मत्वा परमात्मानमेव च आत्मपुनर्बहिर्मृग्य औज्ञाजनता अन्तर्भवेनन्तभवन्तमेव ह्यतत्यजन्तो मृग्यन्ति सन्तः असन्तम् अपि यन्ति अह्यम् अन्तरेण सन्तं गुणं तं किनुयन्ति सन्तः तथापि ते देव पदाम्बुजद्वय प्रसादलेशानुकृता एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन्महिम्नो न चान्य एकोऽपि चिरं विचिन्वन् ततस्त्वमेनातसबुरी वागो भवेत् मान्यत्र तु वातिरश्चाम् येनाहमेकोऽपि भवज्जनानां भूत्वा निषेवे तव पादपल्लवम् अहोति धन्या व्रजगोरमण्यः स्तन्यामृतं पीतं पीबते मुदा यासां विभो वत्सरतरात्मजात्मना यत्तृप्यतेऽद्यापि न चलाम् अध्वराः अहोभाग्यं नन्दगोपव्रजोकशां यन्मित्रं परमानन्दं पूर्णं ब्रह्म सनातनम् तु भाग्यमहिमाच्युत तावदस्ताम् एकादशे वै वयं भूरिभागाः एतदृशीकचषकैरशकृद्विभामः शर्वादयोऽङ्घ्रियुदज मदवमृता समुन्ते तद्भूरिभाग्यं ह्य जन्म किम् अपि अतव्यां यद्गोकुलेऽपि गतमाङ्घ्रिरजोऽभिषेकम् यज्जीवितं तु निखिलं भगवान् मुकुन्द त्वद्यापि यत्पदरजः श्रुतिमृग्यमेव येषां घोषनिवासिनमुत भवान् किं देवरतेति न चेतो विश्वफलात् फलानि त्वदपरं कुत्रापि अयन्मुह्यते सद्वेषादिव पूतनापि सकुला त्वामेव देवा पिता यद्दामात सुहृत्प्रियात्मतनया प्राणाशया स्वकृते तावद्रागादयास्तेनास्तावत् कारागृहं गृहं तावान्मोहोङ्घ्रि निगाढो यावत् कृष्णनते जनाः प्रपञ्चं निष्प्रपञ्चोऽपि विदं वयसि भूतले प्रपन्न जनतानन्द सन्दोहं प्रतितं प्रभो जानन्त एव जानन्तो किं भक्त्या न मे प्रभो मनसोपपुषो वाचो वैभवं तव गोचरः अनुजानीहि मां कृष्ण सर्वं त्वं वेत्सि सर्वदृक् त्वमेव जगतां नाथो जगदेतद्दवार्पितम् श्रीकृष्ण वृष्णीकुलपुष्करजोषदायीन् क्ष्मानिर्जरद्विजय पशुदादिवृदीकारिणीम् उद्धर्म सार्वर हर क्षिति राक्षसद्रो आकल्पमार्कमर्हन् भगवन् नमस्ते श्रीशुक उवाच इति अभिस्तूय भूमानं श्रीपरिक्रम्य पादयोः नत्वाभीष्टं जगद्दाथ स्वधाम प्रत्यपद्यता ततो नुज्ञाप्य भगवान् स्वभुवं परागतस्थितान् वत्सान् पुरीणमानिन्ये यथा पूर्वसखं स्वकम् एकस्मिन्नपि आतीर्थे प्राणेशं चान्तरात्मनः कृष्णा माया हता राजन् क्षणार्धं मेनिरेर्भकाः किं किं न विस्मरन्तीह मायामोहितचेतसः यन्मोहितं जगत् सर्वमभीक्षणं विस्मृतात्मकम् ऊचुश्च सुहृदकृष्णं स्वागतं तेति राम हसा नैकोऽप्यभोजिकवलायिहिता साधु भुजताम् ततो हसन् ऋषिकेशो व्यावहृत्य सार्वकैः दर्शयन् शर्माजरं न्यवर्तत वनाध्वजम् बर्हापशूनवनदातु विचित्रिताङ्गः क्रोधामणिर्मदनशृङ्गरवोत्सवाद्य वत्सान् गृणान् अनुगगीतपवित्रकीर्तिर् गोपीदृगुत्सवदृशी प्रविवेशगोष्ठम् अद्यानेन महाव्यालो यशोदानन्दशून्वा हतो विता वयं चष्मान् इति बाला व्रजे जगुः श्रीराजोवाच ब्रह्मन् परोद्भवे कृष्णे यान् प्रेमागतं भवेत् यो भूतपूर्वस्तोकेषु स्वोद्भावेष्वपि कथ्यताम् श्रीशुक उवाच सर्वेषामपि भूतानां नृपस्वात्मैव वल्लभः इतरे पत्यवित्ताध्यास्तद्वल्लभतायैव हि तद्राजेन्द्र यथा स्नेहः स्वस्वकात्मनि देहिनां न तथा ममतालम्बी पुत्रवित्तगृहादिशो देहात्मवादिनं पुंसम् अपि राजन्यसत्तमा यथा देहा प्रियतमस्तथा न हि अनुचेयतम् देहोऽपि ममता भाक्ष्येत् तर्हि असौ नात्मवत्प्रियः यज्जिर्यदि अपि देहेऽस्मिन् जीवितशाबलीयसी तस्मात् प्रियतमः स्वात्मा सर्वेषामपि देहिनां तदर्थमेव सकलं जगत् एतच्चराचरम् कृष्णं येनं वेहि त्वम् आत्मानमखिलात्मनं जगतीताय सोऽप्यत्र देहि वा भाति मायया वस्तुतो जानतामत्र कृष्णं स्थाश्नु करिष्ठरिष्णु च भगवद्रूपमखिलं नान्यद्वस्तु इह किञ्चन सर्वेषामपि वस्तूनां भावार्थो भवति स्थितः तस्यापि भगवान् कृष्णः किं तद्वस्तुरूप्यताम् समाश्रिताये पदवल्लभप्लवं महत्पदं पुण्येशो पुरारे भवाम्बुधीर्वत्स पदं परं पदं 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 यत् पदां न तेषाम् एतत्ते सर्वमाख्यातं यत् पृष्टोऽहम् इह त्वया तत्कौमारे हरिकृतं पौगण्डे परिकीर्तितम् एतत् सुहृद्भिश्चरितं मुरारेर् अगार्धनं साद्बलजेमनं च व्यक्तेतरद्रूपमजोर्वविष्टवं शृण्वन् गृह्णन्येति अखिलार्थान् एवं विहारे कौमारं जहद्गुर्व्रजे किलायने सेतुबन्धे मर्कटोत्प्लवनादिभिः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. I will sing 8 verses called Chora Ashtakam, written by Shri Bilva Mangal Thakur, glorifying the butter thief, requesting the butter thief to kindly steal our hearts, always remain in our hearts. Raje prasidam choram nanam chadukula choram अनेक जन्मार्जित पाप चौरम सौरभकन्यं पुरुषं नमामि श्रीराधिकाया हृदयस्य चोरं नामाम्बुधश्यामलकान्तिचोरं पादाश्रितानां च समस्तचौरं सौरभगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि अकिञ्चनि कृत्यपादाश्रितं या करोति भिक्षुं पतिगेहयम् केनाप्यहो भीषण चौरयेन्द्र दृष्टाश्रुतो वा न जगात्रयेऽपि यदीयनामापि हरत्यशेषं कीर्तसारानपि पापराशो आश्चर्यरूपो ननु चौरयेन्द्रे दृष्टाश्रुतो वा न मया कदापि धनं च मानं च अतीन्द्रियाणि प्राणं च हृत्वा मम सर्वमेव पलायसे पुत्रधृतोऽद्यचोरा त्वं भक्तिधाम्नासि मया निरूता चिन्नच्छि घोरं यमपाशबन्धं चिन्नच्छि भीमं भवपाशबन्धम् चिन्नच्छि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धं नैवात्मनो भक्तकृतं तु बन्धम् मन्मानसे तामसराशिघोरे कारागृहे दुःखमये निबधा लभस्व हे चौर हरे चिराय स्वचौर्यदोषोजितमेव दत्तम् कारागृहे वस सदा हृदये मदीये मद्भक्तिपाशदृढबन्धननिश्चलः सन् त्वां कृष्ण हे प्रलयकोटिशतान्तरेऽपि सर्वस्वचौरहृदयान् नैमोचयामि. We'll sing the beautiful song Yugalashtakam, written by Shri Jiva Goswami. Krishna premamayi Radha, Radha premamayo harihi, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Krishnasya dravinam Radha, Radhaya dravinadhati, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Krishna pranamayi Radha, Radha pranamayo harihi, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Krishna dravamayi Radha, Radha dravamayo harihi, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Krishna ji hi sthita Radha, Radha ki hi sthito ahi, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Krishna chitta sthita Radha, Radha chitta sthito harihi, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Neelambaradhara Radha, Neetambaradharo harihi, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama, Vrindavaneshwari Radha, Krishna Vrindavaneshwaraha, Jivane nidhane nityam, Radha Krishna gati mama. Jaya Shri Krishna Jai Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So now we'll progress to our next part, which is study of the perfection of yoga, written by His Divine Grace, Vicharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we read chapter 1, which said, what is a yoga that's rejected by Arjuna? And then Krishna explains to Arjuna, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. And then last, Arjuna tells Krishna, Karishye Vachanam Tava. I will do according to what you say. So Prabhupada explains that all the people who are studying Bhagavad Gita, this is what they should arrive at. Karishye Vachanam Tava. That means I will follow in the instructions of my spiritual master. I will follow in the instructions of Lord Shri Krishna as is delivered through the Guru Parampara, through the various disciplic succession, and that is communicated to me by my Guru, which is not different from what Krishna spoke to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We also read why Krishna chose the battlefield to speak this knowledge to Arjuna, because we all have this no time syndrome. We don't have time. So when Arjuna, at the time of his life and death situation, whether he's going to die, if he's going to become the king and rule, then it was such a life and death situation, and yet Arjuna paused. He put the pause button and he wanted to know what is right, what is wrong. So in our life also, as we are running towards our goal, we need to pause at regular intervals. Right? Every Ekadashi is a good time to pause and think and introspect. What is the goal of whatever I'm doing? Am I going towards my goal of Krishna Prem, or am I running in some direction? And in directionless, am I running? So like this. So it is very important to pause and introspect at regular intervals. What is the goal of what we are doing? Whatever devotional service also we are doing, we need to introspect what is the goal. Am I going in the right path? Am I proceeding towards the desired destination? Hare Krishna. All right, today we are starting with the second chapter, Yoga as Work and Devotion. So in the previous book and even Bhagavad Gita, the words are used interchangeably. Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, they are all used interchangeably. What does it mean? Right? I have to engage my mind, intelligence, and senses in service of the Lord. When I have this knowledge and I work this for the satisfaction of the Lord with knowledge, that is called Buddhi Yoga. That means I'm connecting to the Lord by understanding the Krishna Tattva. Buddhi Yoga. Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means I'm actually engaging in the Navavida Bhakti, engaging in the Sanatana Dharma. And there is another thing which is Swadharma, according to the bodies that we've acquired, according to the Varna and Ashrama that we are situated in, we all have certain Swadharma or certain duties to be performed. How can we do those duties in devotion to the Lord? In the 18th chapter, it starts where Arjuna asks Krishna, should I renounce? This is the 18th chapter. This is the perfection of renunciation. Again, Arjuna asks a question. We're very grateful to Arjuna, because if Arjuna was not asking those questions, then all those questions we will be getting now and we don't have answers. So Arjuna has been asking all those questions for us. Even in the 18th chapter, Arjuna is asking Krishna, what is better? Is it Tyaga is better or Sannyasa is better? Sannyasa means giving up all the activities, right? Giving up all the fruit of activities. And Tyaga means giving up the results of activities. And Krishna mentions, and Prabhupada also mentions in the purport, Tyaga is better than Sannyasa, right? Because certain activities should not be given up, like charity, penance, etc., should not be given up by anybody, even in the person's renounced order of life, right? There are certain duties that even the sannyasis have to do. But what do we have to give up? as being practitioners of Krishna consciousness, we have to give up the results of the activities, right? We don't, because we know we are not the doer, right? In the 18th chapter, Krishna also talks about the 5 causes of action, right? So, and we also have studied about the 3 doers in the 5th chapter, right? There's karta, there is karanam, there is jiva, there is endeavor, and there is the instrument, which is the senses, and then there is daiva. These are the 5 causes of action. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, again, way back in the 5th chapter also, Krishna talks about the 3 doers. That means I as the jiva desire, and then Krishna as the daiva. Krishna sanctions, and then Prakriti executes it. Prakriti creates the environment. We discussed about how, if you want to buy a car also, this works, right? Because if I desire to buy a car, and then when the Lord sanctions it, then I get the Lakshmi or whatever, some kind of lottery or something happens, right? By which I become qualified to buy by the sanction of the Lord. It could be kripa, it could be according to our previous karma, maybe we're entitled to it, and therefore the Lord sanctioned. The Lord is independent; He can sanction whether or not we deserve. So there is kripa siddhas and there is sadhana siddhas, like that. And then when Krishna's sanction is there, then Krishna's Shakti, which is Mahamaya, which is Prakriti, arranges for the situation. That is when we go to the showroom, we find the car that we want, because Prakriti is arranged for it. We buy it and then we drive the car. Right? If the Lord's sanction is not there, either we will not have the Lakshmi, or even if you have the Lakshmi, go and see that car is not there in the showroom. Something or the other. Right? So, karma, daiva, netrena. By our desire, and the Lord's sanction ensures that Prakriti arranges for it. So, we need not take credit for whatever we do, because only one part we are doing, which is our desire. The rest of it is all by the Supreme Lord's will. So there's nothing that we need to take credit of, nor can we take credit for the results of our activities. Right? Once we do the activity, then it is beyond our control. And whatever comes is prasad. Whatever comes is the mercy of the Lord. All right. So let's go ahead. Yoga as work in devotion. Okay, devotees can raise your hands. Okay, Jyotsna Mataji, go ahead. Please read, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat. Yeah.
We have heard the names of so many different yogas and yogis, but in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that actual yogi is he who has surrendered himself fully unto me. Krishna proclaims that there is no difference between renunciation, sannyasa, and yoga. Yama sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahai asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. What is called renunciation is the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. For no one can become a yogi unless he renounces the desire of sense gratification. Bhagavad Gita 6.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita 6.2. Correct. So here, renunciation is, what does renunciation mean? Prabhupada is very, very clearly mentioning here in the translation to Bhagavad Gita 6.2. He's just saying renunciation means I renounce the fruit of the activities. I don't consider myself the cause of the activities that I perform. Nimitta matram vasavya shachan. Krishna also told Arjuna the same thing. He told Arjuna, become an instrument in my hands and perform your duty. Yogam tam vidhi pandava. Yogam tam vidhi. Vidhi means according to what is prescribed. Just go ahead and do your duty. And then nahi asanyasta sankalpa yogi bhavati kaschana. One has to renounce the desire for sense gratification. And then very beautifully, this is what was declared by Arjuna and declared by Lord Sri Krishna in 6.47. What does he say? Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana. Who is the best yogi? One who has surrendered himself unto me. Shraddhavan vajate yomam. One who worships me with faith. Same yukta tamomataha. He is considered the best yogi. That's what Krishna says in the last verse of the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yoginam api sarvesham. The best of all the yogis is the Bhakti yogi. Like that. Okay. Now we'll go into the yoga ladder. Prabhupada is going to explain the yoga ladder. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga. And then finally, we come to Bhakti yoga. I will request Asha Arya Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. In Bhagavad Gita, there are 3 basic types of yoga delineated: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The systems of yoga may be likened or to a staircase. Someone may be on the first step, someone may be halfway up, or someone may be on the top step. When one is elevated to certain levels, he is known as a Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, etc. In all cases, the service to the Supreme Lord is the same. It is a difference in elevation only. Thus, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that he must understand that renunciation or sannyasa and yoga are the same, because without being freed from desire and sense gratification, one can become neither a yogi nor a sannyasi. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Very beautiful, this line, isn't it? In all cases, service to the Supreme Lord is the same. It is a difference in elevation only, right? It means Prabhupada is very, very clearly mentioning in this line, Karma Yoga is the first step. Then after that, Jnana Yoga. Then there is Ashtanga Yoga. Then there is, Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the highest ladder. Like His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is saying, right? When we try to endeavor, like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga are all endeavoring process. That means Aroha Pantha. That means I try to control my senses. I try to gain knowledge. I try to do meditation. I try to control my mind. And so I rely on myself that I can do. That will result in false ego if I'm successful. Of course, it's not that everybody who tries to do Ashtanga Yoga or Jnana Yoga is successful, right? Because you have to control the mind, and the mind cannot be controlled. So there is success in this path. It's also very difficult. Even if one is successful, one becomes very proud. One becomes very proud of his achievements, right? But that is not how spiritual knowledge is gained, right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena seveya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanena tattvadarshinaha. Right? Who can render service? Only somebody who is humble, who takes a lower position. Only such a person can do service, isn't it? If I think I am the master of all, I am the controller of everything, well, I want to serve. No, I cannot serve. In that position, I think I am the enjoyer, and the whole world, people around me have to serve me. That will be my consciousness, isn't it? But Krishna has told very clearly what should be our consciousness to understand spiritual knowledge. So this Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all depending on oneself, depending on one's own determination. It does work. It's very good to have the determination, but it will not lead us to the desired destination, because the basic requirements are not there, which is humility, which is rendering service, which is being dependent on the Lord, taking shelter of the Lord. That is not there. The essential ingredient is not there. So that essential ingredient is in Bhakti Yoga, wherein I surrender completely to the Lord. I do my work. I do what is required. I do the the to-dos and the not-to-dos, right? I practice the 4 regulative principles. I chant Hare Krishna. I do the ABCD formula, but with enthusiasm, with determination, with patience, as Gyan Guru Goswami. But at the time, I depend on the mercy of the Lord for the success. I don't consider my activities as the be-all, end-all, right? My activity and my determination and my enthusiasm, my patience are all very important ingredients. But the most important ingredient is the mercy of the Lord. That is why Bhakti Yoga is the highest in that ladder. Okay? So that is the difference in the elevation. Without being freed from desire and sense gratification, one can become neither a yogi nor a sannyasi. So there is no difference, right? What does a sannyasi do? A sannyasi also, once he preaches, right? Parivrajaka acharya, we say. That means he does not get attached to any kshetra, any place. He moves from one place to another, preaching the glories of the Lord. So in this way, he is not attached to anything, right? In Bhagavad Gita, the first quality of a sannyasi that's mentioned is fearlessness. Because Bhadrahuremana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanarvindra. When can one be fearless? When one has taken complete shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nanda Nandana. Right? So fearlessness, that is the most important quality of this material world. We are gripping with fear because there is uncertainty. Next step, we don't know what is going to happen next. That's why we are so much in fear. But what is the formula for controlling fear? Surrender. To the extent we surrender to the Lord, to the extent we take shelter of the Lord, to that extent, fear will not be there in our hearts. Because we know what is not within our control is within the control of the Supreme Lord, who is my supreme friend, who is my supreme benefactor, who is my supreme well-wisher. Like that, right? Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. The 6 limbs of surrender. In the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse comes, right? Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. Right? What is that? Taking up what is favorable for devotional service giving up what is unfavorable for devotional service, and then what is that? Complete surrender to Krishna, Atmanishepa, right? Complete surrender and selfless surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. Krishna will protect me in all circumstances. So when we surrender to Krishna in this mood, then we will be equal to a sannyasi. So sannyasi is not an external thing. Sannyasi is, all of us can be sannyasis in our consciousness. If you are fearless, you are completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like that. All right. Suprabha Sumitra Mataji, go ahead. There are some yogis.
Hare Krishna Dandat Pranam Mataji. There are some yogis who perform yoga for profit, but that is not real yoga. Everything must be engaged in the service of the Lord. Whatever we do as an ordinary worker or as a sannyasi or as a yogi or as a philosopher must be done in Krishna consciousness. When we are absorbed in the thought of serving Krishna and when we act in that consciousness, we can become real sannyasis and real yogis. For those who are taking the first step up the staircase of the yoga system, there is work. One should not think that simply because he is beginning yoga, he should stop working. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna asked Arjuna to become a yogi, but he never tells him to cease from fighting. Quite the contrary, of course, one may ask how a person may be a yogi or at the same time a warrior. Our conception of yoga practice is that of sitting very straight with legs crossed and half closed, staring at the tip of our nose and concentrating in this way in a lonely place. So how is it that Krishna asking Arjuna to become a yogi and at the same time participate in ghastly civil war? That is the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. One can remain a fighting man and at the same time be the highest yogi, the highest sannyasi. How is this possible? In Krishna consciousness, one simply has to fight for Krishna, work for Krishna, eat for Krishna, sleep for Krishna, and dedicate all activities to Krishna. In this way, one becomes the highest yogi and the highest sannyasi. That is the secret. Hare Krishna Mataji Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadashi, yat tapashyasi kaunteya, tad kurushva madarpanam. Right? Yat karoshi, whatever you do, yad ashnashi, whatever you intake, yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi, dadashi, whatever you give away. Yat tapashyasi kaunteya, whatever austerities you perform, tad kurushva madarpanam. Whatever we do, whatever we give away, whatever we eat, whatever austerities we perform, everything, samsiddhir haridoshanam, everything becomes perfect when we engage it in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, so I think we have 3 more hands up. All right, so we'll quickly read about one paragraph each and then we'll end. Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
The 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna instructs Arjuna how to perform meditational yoga, but Arjuna rejects this as too difficult. How then is Arjuna considered to be a great yogi? Although Krishna saw that Arjuna was rejecting the meditational system, he proclaimed Arjuna to be the highest yogi because you are always thinking of me. Thinking of Krishna as the essence of all yoga systems of the Hatha, Karma, Jnana, Bhakti, or any other system of yoga, sacrifice, or charity. All the recommended activities for spiritual realization end in Krishna consciousness, in thinking always of Krishna. The actual perfection of human life lies in being always Krishna conscious and always being aware of Krishna while performing all types of activities.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyo na Jatuchit, Sarve Vidhi Nishedhyasur, Etayor Eva Kinkaraha. We discussed this yesterday, isn't it? Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. So that is the goal of all the activities that we perform. Now, all the goal is to engage in the service of the Lord and to remember Krishna in this way. Smartavya Satatam, always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. That is the goal of all of the devotional service that we perform. All the angas of devotional services are the servants of these 2 principles of always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. Okay, so this is a long paragraph. We will end chapter 2 today. We'll request Sudha Mataji, you can read first 10 lines. Anjana Mataji can read the next 10 lines, and Navkishori Mataji last 10 lines. And this way we will finish this chapter today. Oh yes, go ahead. In the preliminary stage, Sudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. In the
Yes.
preliminary stage, one is advised to always work for Krishna. One must be always searching out some duty or some engagement, for it is a bad policy to remain idle even for a second. When one actually becomes advanced through such engagements, then he may not work physically, but he is always engaged within by constantly thinking of Krishna. In the preliminary stage, however, one is always advised to engage one's senses in the service of Krishna. There are a variety of activities one can perform in serving Krishna. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is intended to help direct aspirant devotees in these activities. For those
Hare
working
Krishna.
in...
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Very well. Anjana Mataji, go ahead. So very, very beautiful point here. Preliminary stage, you have to engage our senses, right? Even in the process of control of mind also, there is this wonderful example that, when we want to control something, we want to control that which we can see with our eyes, which we can perceive with our senses. So that is why the initial stage, we work with our physical senses. As we become advanced in Krishna consciousness, then we are able to perform our service with the right consciousness. I am the servant of the Lord. My duty to serve the Lord. I want to give the best for the Lord, like that. So that is a higher stage. But initially, even though the bhava or the consciousness of complete surrender is not there, we still perform with our gross senses. We still walk to the temple. We offer our pranams to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the Guru Parampara, to Srila Prabhupada. We make garlands. We cook for the Lord. We do parikrama. All of that we do. Why? We sing and dance, right? And the Gaur Arati or the Mangala Arati or Narsingha Arati, Tulsi Arati, etc. We do parikrama of Tulsi Maharani. All this we do with our gross senses. Because when we do that, our senses become purified, and then our mind also, we're able to do those 4 instructions given by Krishna. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Right? We start with namaskuru, right? And then finally what we arrive at? Manmana bhava, right? Always thinking of Krishna. So slowly from the gross senses we engage in the service of the Lord, and slowly it comes to our mind also. We're always focused on Krishna. Yes, Anjana Mataji, go ahead. There are a variety of activities.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes.
For those working in Krishna consciousness, there are simply not enough hours in the day.
Activities from there. There are a variety of activities one can perform in serving Krishna.
In the day to serve Krishna, there are always activities, engagement, both day and night, which the student of Krishna consciousness perform joyfully. That is the stage of real happiness. Constant engagement for Krishna and spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. In the material world, one may become very tired if he works all the time. But if one works in Krishna consciousness, he can chant Hare Krishna and engage in devotional service 24 hours a day and never get tired. But if
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. We'll request now Kishori Mataji to end our second chapter. But here, very, very beautiful, isn't it? When we work, when we do hard labor, right? Every day we go to the office, we work 8 hours or 10 hours like that. When we come back, we're so exhausted, right? We just want to lie down and sleep. We just want to have some peace of mind because we've done so much of work. But that is not the kind of passionate work that happens in Krishna consciousness. When we sweep the floor, when we mop the floor, of the temple, etc., we are rejuvenated. Why? Because we are working for the pleasure of the Lord. Because there is no anxiety. We are not working. Oh, I have to get money. I have to get selected for this project. Oh, I have to get this appreciation from my boss. Because more than the physical exertion, the mind is so much creating anxiety. And that is what is causing the stress. Right? Physical labor, when we're doing for the pleasure of the Lord, is never so tiresome. Sometimes, even in such tiredness, there is bliss in the heart. So I was giving the example of a person, an 8th standard child or whoever, at 9th or 10th or whatever class, right? Having a nice, delicious samosa. Right? Physically, the samosa is very, very enjoyable. Yeah? At that time, he gets the news that he is failed in his 8th standard exam. Right? So what happens? The same delicious, hot samosa which is in his hand is not giving him any pleasure, because at a mental level, he is disturbed with the news. So first there is physical pleasure. Higher than that is a mental pleasure. Right? When something creates happiness in our mind, we perceive something as happiness. Then there is a higher pleasure. And higher than that is intellectual pleasure, right? When we win some competition, when we win some prize, we get name, fame, glory. That is an intellectual pleasure. That is still higher. But highest of all of that is a is a pleasure at the pleasure is the spiritual pleasure, right? The soul feels bliss. And when does the soul feel the bliss? When we engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even though there is physical exhaustion, we're not saying that when I'm off the floor, I don't get tired at all. No, the physical exhaustion is there, but at a mental and at a spiritual level, you don't feel tired. We don't think, oh, I've done enough, I don't want to do any more. Right? Physically, we may feel tired, but we want to serve more and more. The more we do devotional service, the more we desire to do devotional service. That way, we become energized. That is what it is. All right, Navakishwari Mataji, please end this chapter. Second chapter completed for us. Yeah.
Hare
But if
Krishna,
we
Mataji,
vibrate,
Dhanapranam. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
But if we vibrate some mundane vibration, then we soon become exhausted. There is no question of becoming tired on the spiritual platform. The spiritual platform is absolute. In the material world, everyone is working for sense gratification. The profit of one's labor in the material world are used to gratify one's senses, but real
Yogi.
But
Does not
real
desire
yogi does not desire such faults.
fruits.
Such fruits. He has no desire after then Krishna, other than Krishna, and Krishna is already there. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So next chapter is yoga as meditation on Krishna. So we'll start this tomorrow. Very beautiful. We finished chapter 2. Very beautiful. What is it? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mami vaishiti satyavyam atmana matparayanaha. Right? Krishna tells in the 9th chapter. Again, Krishna tells in the 18th chapter, become my servant, always think of me, worship me, offer your obeisances to me, and in this way you will come back to me. So what is real yoga? Real yoga is to establish our connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, work with our senses, understanding our position as the servant Lord, and in this way develop the bhava, develop the manmana bhava madbhakto, becoming the devotee of the Lord, always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. That is where we want to be. So wherever we are, whatever position we are in, let us engage in the service of the Lord according to our capacity, and in this way walk our path towards always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. So that is the goal of human form of life. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koji Gaura Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Ananta Koji Gaura Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So let's see all we have today. We have Nisha Mataji, Jyotsna Mataji, Rituparna Mataji, Ramya Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Uma Maheshwari Mataji, Suprabha Sumitra Mataji, Nita Mataji, Karpagavali Mataji, Anjana Mataji, Nav Kishori Mataji, Sarva Gopeshwari Mataji, Sudha Mataji, and all the wonderful devotees. Thank you all very much for joining in. Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nidai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna to all the devotees and the pranams. All right, so everyone can unmute themselves now. So quickly, if we can take 2-3 realizations or questions, we'll end at 1:45. Yes, anything from the devotees? Okay, wonderful. I think everybody is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So that is a good sign. Thank you very much. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So